Welcome to this special program originating from the Brett's Law Arena on the Kansas State Fairgrounds in Hutchinson. I'm Kelly Lenz with the Kansas Agriculture Network, and I'll be your moderator for today's program, or I will attempt to moderate the program. But first, with an official welcome to the fair and to this program, please welcome the governor of the great state of Kansas, Sam Brownback.
Thanks, Kelly. What a beautiful day at the Kansas State Fair. If you're not listening on this on your radio here at the Kansas State Fair, you ought to come here. If you're not at the K-State game or at some other great sporting event, this is the place to be. I've already had my first thing on a stick here. I had a potato chip that they put on a stick, and I had great seasoning on it, and it was okay healthy-wise. It wasn't deep-fat fried, so I thought I was doing pretty good with that, but I'm going for those things later on. This is a bit of a trip down memory lane that you're going to have later on. I think it was probably, 5-10 years ago, these two guys were doing these regular shows, the Pat and Dan show. It was 5 or 10 years. Maybe, I think Dan just did his 50th high school reunion. Maybe it's a little longer than that, but these are a couple of great Americans. And Kelly's going to attempt to fill the seat of Barry Flinchbaugh that used to moderate these as we travel across the state. I don't know what sort of stories that he's going to have to tell, but I'm sure they'll be good ones. Kansas agriculture has been strong for a long time, and it's because it's had strong leaders and great people involved in the industry. None stronger than these two you're going to hear from today, and none stronger than our current crop of leaders. We've got a good bunch that are leading this industry, leading this state. I'm proud of them. God bless you, and enjoy the day.
Thank you, Governor. As you may know, this is the 100th anniversary of the Kansas State Fair. It also happens to be the International Year of the Cooperative, and it's to cooperatives that our program today is dedicated. It was 90 years ago that the Capper-Volstead Act, which was vitally important to the creation of cooperatives in general in this country, came about. And they are particularly important to agriculture. Few would remember those events from years ago, which is why we invited two well-seasoned veterans of agricultural policy to join us for today's show, which we respectfully call the Pat and Dan Show. Would you please welcome U.S. Senator Pat Roberts and former Kansas Congressman and USDA Secretary Dan Glickman. As some of you may remember, and the governor alluded to, the Pat and Dan Show was a popular feature of the old Kansas State Board of Agriculture meetings. For many years, the show was moderated by a crusty and colorful agricultural economist by the name of Dr. Barry Flinchbaugh. Unfortunately, the third member of this triad was not able to be here today, in person anyway, but he did provide me with some pointers and this handsome picture to let you know that he is here in spirit. His only advice was, watch him, Lenz. They're a couple of slippery old foxes. And when you get out of line, Dr. Flinchbaugh will be here looking back at you. Is there anything either of you would like to say before we begin? Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank the governor for his very fine introduction. I want to say a special hello to Barry. Barry, bring the cats home against Miami. I know that's where you are. And to the Kansas Co-op Council, 150 years of a great legacy and a great future. Thank you so much. And to you, Kelly, for 34 years of service to agriculture, being the voice of agriculture, and not only the voice, but somebody you can trust. Both Dan and I remember the 80s and the tough times we went through, and you were always right on the money in regards to broadcasting what we were trying to do in behalf of the farmer during the ag crisis of those days. Now we're in another one. And I know farmers not only listen to you, but they trust you. And I want to thank you. 34 years, every year, folks. Thank you, Kelly. And to my great friend, Dan Glickman, thank you for coming all the way from Charlotte, and the speeches. And But at any rate, thank you for coming all the way out here, and let the fun begin.
All right. Dan, would you like to make some comments?
Thank you. First of all, Kelly, I remember the times that I've been in this arena with Pat, and then we must have done the Pat and Dan show 15 times during the 70s and 80s, and Pat and I kind of make fun of each other all the time, but I really admire him, and especially for his work in trying to devise a bipartisan solution to the Farm Bill. And I spend my life these days now working on bipartisanship. You see what a tremendous job I've done the last few years. But I think the Pat's work on the Farm Bill with Senator Stabenow and others is like an amazing example of what you can do when people work together and not try to kill each other all the time, which is, frankly, I think what we see too much in our government. But I'm just delighted to be here. I came back also for my 50th high school reunion. I know to the folks that are looking at me, they just know it can't be possible. But Pat had his 70th last week, so I figured that it was an easy thing for me to do. So anyway, thank you all for being so hospitable to me over the years.
All right, excellent.